The space station was loud and dirty. Thousands of aliens from different worlds walked through its metal halls. They were buying, selling, fighting, and hiding. This was Orion's Gate, a place where no empire had power, a place where anyone could disappear. Princess Yuna pulled her hood lower over her face. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was beating fast. Just 3 hours ago, she had watched her guards die. She had seen her ship explode in a ball of fire. Someone wanted her dead, and she did not know who. She was a princess of the Velen Empire, one of the most powerful kingdoms in the galaxy. Her people were tall and beautiful, with pale blue skin and silver eyes. They were known for their intelligence and their grace, but they were not known for their strength. The Velen were a fragile species. Their bones were light, their muscles were weak. They ruled through technology and politics, not through war. Now Yuna was alone. She had no ship, no guards, and very little money. She could not contact her family. The assassins might trace the signal. She could not go to the station authorities. They might be working with her enemies. She had only one choice. She needed a higher protection and travel to the Velen border on her own. She walked into a small Leto cantina at the edge of the station. The place smelled bad. The lights were dim. Strange creatures sat at dirty tables, drinking and talking in low voices. Yuna felt sick. She had never been in a place like this. Her whole life she had lived in palaces and royal ships. She had never touched dirty metal or breathed recycled air. She looked around the room. She needed someone cheap, someone who would not ask questions. She saw several mercenaries, but they all looked expensive or dangerous, or both. Then she saw him. A human sat alone in the corner. He was not tall. He was not impressive. He wore simple gray clothes that were old and worn. His hair was black and messy. His face was plain, with a small scar above his left eye. He was drinking something from a metal cup and staring at nothing. Yuna knew about humans. Everyone in the galaxy knew about humans. They were a young species from a small planet called Earth. They had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. They were considered primitive and weak. Most aliens used humans as cheap labor or low-level soldiers. They were not respected. They were not feared. Perfect, Yuna thought. A human would be cheap. A human would follow orders without question. And if something went wrong, losing a human was no great loss. She walked to his table and sat down across from him. The human looked up. His eyes were dark brown, almost black. They showed no surprise, no curiosity, no emotion at all. "I need to hire you," Yuna said. She spoke slowly and used simple words. She assumed he might have trouble understanding her. "For what?" His voice was quiet and flat. "I need to travel to the Velen border. I need protection on the way. It should take about 5 days." The human studied her face. Yuna felt uncomfortable under his gaze. There was something strange about his eyes. They seemed to look through her, not at her. "Why do you need protection?" he asked. "That is not your concern. Can you guard me, human?" "It should be simple enough for your kind." She saw something flicker in his eyes. Just for a moment. Then it was gone. "How much?" he asked. Yuna named a price. It was low, almost insulting. Any proper mercenary would have laughed at her or walked away. The human nodded. "I accept." Yuna felt relief wash over her. "Good. What is your name?" "Li Do-yen." "I am." "You may call me Yuna. We leave in 1 hour. Meet me at docking bay 17. She stood up and walked away without looking back. She did not see the way Dojan watched her leave. She did not see the way his eyes checked every exit, every face, every shadow in the room. She did not know anything about the man she had just hired. Li Do-yen was 32 years old. He had been a soldier for 15 years. He had joined Earth's Stellar Marine Corps when he was 17. He had fought in 3 wars. He had killed more enemies than he could count. He had received every medal his planet could give. During the Frontier War, Do-yen had held a defensive position alone for 18 hours. 300 enemy soldiers had tried to take his position. None of them succeeded. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found Do-Yan sitting among the bodies, cleaning his weapon. He was injured in 11 places. He did not seem to notice. The military called him the Wall. His enemies called him the Demon of Earth. His friends called him nothing. Because most of his friends were dead 2 years ago, Do-Yan had led a rescue mission to save captured soldiers from an alien warship. Something went wrong. Nobody knew exactly what happened. The official reports were sealed. What everyone knew was this: Do-Yan went into that ship with 12 soldiers. He came out alone, carrying the bodies of his squad one by one. He resigned the next day. He disappeared into the edges of the galaxy. He took small jobs, dangerous jobs, jobs that nobody else wanted. He did not care about money. He did not care about fame. He was simply waiting for something, though he did not know what. Now he finished his drink and stood up. A princess of the Velen Empire had just hired him as a cheap bodyguard. She had spoken to him like he was a child. She had looked at him like he was nothing. Do-Yan did not feel angry. He had stopped feeling angry a long time ago. He simply picked up his small bag of belongings and walked toward Docking Bay 17. He did not know why he had accepted this job. The money was almost nothing. The princess was rude and arrogant. The job was probably more dangerous than she was telling him. But when he had looked at her face, he had seen something familiar. Fear. Desperation. The look of someone who had lost everything and was trying to survive. He had seen that look before. In the eyes of refugees fleeing burning planets. In the eyes of soldiers watching their friends die. In the mirror every morning, staring back at him. Do-Yan arrived at Docking Bay 17. Yuna was already there, standing beside a small cargo ship. She looked nervous and out of place among the dirty machines and rough workers. "You are early," she said. "Good. Humans can follow basic instructions at least." Do-Yan said nothing. He simply walked past her and entered the ship. He checked every room, every corner, every possible hiding place. He checked the doors and the locks. He checked the emergency systems. He did all of this in less than 5 minutes. Yuna watched him with confusion. "What are you doing?" "My job," Do-Yan said. He sat down in the pilot's seat and began the launch sequence. Yuna sat behind him, still looking confused. She did not understand why a simple human guard was being so careful. She did not understand why his movements were so quick and precise. She did not understand anything about him. But she would learn soon. She would learn exactly what kind of man she had hired. And nothing would ever be the same again. The cargo ship moved slowly through the darkness of space. It was an old ship, meant for carrying goods, not passengers. The walls were gray and cold. The air tasted like metal. But it was safe, at least for now. Yuna sat in the small common room, trying to eat a meal bar. The food was terrible. She had never eaten anything so bland in her life. In the palace, her meals were prepared by the finest chefs in the empire. Here, she was eating compressed nutrients from a plastic wrapper. Do-Yan sat across from her, checking a small data pad. He had not spoken more than 10 words since they left the station. He ate quickly and efficiently, like a machine refueling itself. He did not seem to notice the bad taste or the uncomfortable chairs. "How long until we reach the next station?" Yuna asked. 14 hours. "And from there?" "Another 2 days to the Velen border." Yuna nodded. She studied the human in front of her. He was so plain, so ordinary. There was nothing special about him. He looked like any other human she had seen working in factories or cleaning ships. "Have you been a mercenary for long?" she asked. "A few years. What did you do before?" Do-Yan looked up from his datapad. His dark eyes met hers. "I was a soldier. On Earth. Yes, I hear Earth is a primitive planet. Heavy gravity. Dangerous animals. Very uncomfortable." "It is home," Do-Yan said simply. Yuna laughed. It was not a kind laugh. "Humans are strange. You seem almost proud of coming from such a difficult place. Most species try to make their lives easier. Humans seem to enjoy suffering." Do-Yan did not respond. He returned his attention to the datapad. Why Una felt annoyed. She was a princess. She was used to people listening to her, responding to her, treating her with respect. This human acted like she barely existed. You should be more polite to me, she said. I am paying you. You are paying me to protect you, Doyen said without looking up. Not to talk to you? Una opened her mouth to reply, but the ship suddenly shook. Red lights began flashing. An alarm screamed through the corridors. Doyen was on his feet before Una could even react. He grabbed a weapon from his bag and moved toward the door. What is happening? Una asked. Her voice was shaking. Someone is docking with us. Uninvited. Pirates. Maybe worse. Stay here. Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone except me. He was gone before she could argue. Una locked the door with trembling hands. She could hear sounds through the metal walls. Footsteps, voices, then silence. She waited. Minutes passed. Each second felt like an hour. She pressed her ear against the door, trying to hear something, anything. Then she heard a crash. And screaming? Not human screaming. Something else. Something alien. The sounds continued for what felt like forever. Crashes, thuds, cries of pain. Then silence again. A knock on the door made Una jump backward. It's me, Doyun's voice said. Open the door. Una unlocked the door with shaking fingers. Doyen stood in the corridor. There was blood on his hands and his clothes. His face was calm, almost bored. What happened? Una whispered. Bounty hunters Korbaks? They were looking for you? Korbaks? Una felt her blood turn cold. The Korbaks were one of the most feared warrior species in the galaxy. They were reptilian creatures, over 7 feet tall, with thick scales and sharp claws. They were known for their cruelty and their skill in combat. How many? 6. 6 Korbaks. And you? You fought them alone? Yes, that is impossible. 1 Korbaks is worth 20 soldiers. 6 of them could destroy an army. Doyen shrugged. They were not as skilled as they thought. Una stared at him. She looked at the blood on his clothes, at his calm face, at his steady hands. He was not breathing hard. He was not shaking. He looked like he had just finished a light exercise. Not a battle against 6 of the SSE, deadliest warriors in the galaxy. Oh, I need to see, she said. It is not pleasant. I need to see. Doyen nodded and stepped aside. Una walked down the corridor toward the cargo bay. The smell hit her first. Blood and smoke and something else, something chemical. Then she saw the bodies. 6 Korbaks lay on the floor of the cargo bay. They were huge, even in death. Their scales were dark green, their claws long and sharp. They carried weapons that could cut through steel. None of their weapons had saved them. 1 had his arm bent at an impossible angle. Another had been killed with his own blade. A third lay against the wall, his skull cracked open. The others were scattered around the room, each one dead from injuries that should have been impossible for a single fighter to cause. Una covered her mouth. She felt sick. She felt terrified. But most of all, she felt confused. She turned to Doyen. He stood behind her, watching her reaction. What are you? She whispered. Dohyun did not answer. No human could do this. No normal human. I have studied your species. You are weak. Your bones are fragile. Your muscles are small. You cannot compete with species like the Korbaks. Your studies were incomplete, Doyen said. Then explain this to me. Explain how 1 human defeated 6 Korbaks warriors. Doyen was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. On Earth, we have a gravity that is heavier than most worlds. Our muscles and bones grow dense just to survive. We evolved as hunters who could run for days without stopping. We learned to use tools and strategy because we were not the strongest or the fastest. We learned to fight because everything on our planet wanted to kill us. The weather, the animals, the diseases, and each other. He paused and looked at the bodies on the floor. Humans have been fighting since we first stood on 2 legs. We perfected it. We studied it. We made it into an art. By the time we reached the stars, we had already spent thousands of years killing each other in every way imaginable. Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. The Korbaks are big and strong, Doyan continued, but they rely on their size and their scales. They do not train like we train. They do not adapt like we adapt. They expected me to run or surrender. They did not expect me to fight back. And you? Are you special among humans? Doyan shook his head. No, I am just experienced. He turned and walked back toward the common room. We should leave this area soon. The Korbaks may have friends. I will prepare the ship for a jump. You should rest. Tomorrow will be long. Yuna stood alone in the cargo bay, surrounded by the bodies of 6 monsters who had come to kill her. She looked at the blood, at the destruction, at the evidence of violence she could not understand. She had hired Li Doyan because she thought he was cheap and expendable. She had spoken to him like he was a servant. She had assumed he was weak because he was human. She had been wrong. Yuna walked back to her room slowly. Her mind was racing. Everything she thought she knew about humans was changing. And the quiet, plain man she had hired was becoming more mysterious with every passing hour. Who was Li Doyan? What had he done before becoming a mercenary? And what else was he hiding behind those calm, dark eyes? She did not know the answers yet, but she was determined to find out. 3 days had passed since the attack. The cargo ship continued its slow journey through space, jumping between star systems to avoid detection. Yuna barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the bodies of the Korbaks warriors. She saw the blood. She saw Doyan standing calmly among the dead. She needed answers. She waited until Doyan was sleeping, then used the ship's communication system to contact someone she trusted. Her old friend from the intelligence service, human woman named Commander Jiwan. They had met years ago during a diplomatic mission. Giwan was one of the few humans who had earned respect in galactic politics. Giwan's face appeared on the screen. She was a woman in her 40s with short gray hair and sharp eyes. Princess Yuna, Jiwan said, I heard you were in trouble. I am glad you are alive. I need information, Yuna said. About a human. A man named Li Doyan. Guan's expression changed. Something flickered in her eyes. Surprise, maybe, or concern. Why do you ask about him? He's working for me. As a guard, 3 days ago, 6 Korbaks bounty hunters attacked our ship. He killed all of them, alone, in minutes. Giwan was quiet for a long moment. You hired Li Doyan as a cheap guard, she said slowly, and you did not know who he was? No. Should I have? Jiwan laughed. It was not a happy laugh. Princess, you accidentally hired one of the most dangerous soldiers Earth has ever produced. You would have an easier time controlling a nuclear weapon. Yuna felt her stomach drop. Tell me everything. Giwan leaned back in her chair and began to speak. Li Doyan joined the military when he was 17. He was selected for the Stellar Marines, our most elite combat force. Within 2 years, he was the best soldier in his unit. Within 5 years, he was the best soldier in the entire corps. That is impressive, but many species have skilled soldiers. You do not understand, Jiwan said. Let me explain something about humans. Something most aliens do not know or do not believe. She pulled up some data on her screen. Earth has a gravity that is 1.5 times stronger than the galactic average. Every human who grows up on Earth develops muscles and bones that are denser and stronger than most species. We do not look impressive because our bodies are compact. But pound for pound, we are one of the strongest species in known space. Yuna frowned. I did not know this. Most aliens do not. They see us as small and assume we are weak. They do not realize that our size is an advantage. We are harder to hit. We can move into spaces larger species cannot. And our muscles can generate explosive power that surprises anyone who fights us, Guan continued. But physical strength is only part of it. Humans evolved on a planet that was trying to kill us every single day. We did not have natural weapons like claws or venom. We did not have thick skin or scales. We survived because of two things: our brains and our endurance. Endurance? Humans are persistence predators. On Earth, we hunted by chasing animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. We can run for days without stopping. We can function without sleep for longer than almost any species. We can ignore pain that would disable other creatures. We can lose blood, break bones, and keep fighting. Yuna remembered how Doyon had looked after killing 6 Korvax. He had not even been breathing hard. There is one more thing, Juan said. Humans have been at war with ourselves for our entire history. While other species were developing art or science, we were developing new ways to kill each other. By the time we reached the stars, we had thousands of years of combat experience. We had studied every kind of fighting, every kind of weapon, every kind of strategy. War is in our blood. And Li Doyon. Jiwan's face became serious. Doyon was special, even among our best soldiers. During the Frontier War, he held a defensive position against 300 enemies for 18 hours alone. When rescue arrived, they found him sitting among hundreds of bodies, wounded in 11 places. Still ready to fight? That is impossible. I thought so too. Until I saw the recordings. Guan paused. The military gave him a nickname. They called him the Wall, because nothing could get past him. Yuna was silent, trying to process this information. 2 years ago, Juan continued, he led a rescue mission to save captured soldiers. 12 men went with him into an enemy warship. Something went wrong. We still do not know exactly what happened. All we know is that Doyon came out alone. He carried each body out of that ship himself, one by one. Then he resigned and disappeared. What happened to him? Mentally, I mean, he lost everything that day. His team was his family. After they died, I think a part of him died too. He's not looking for wealth or glory anymore. Honestly, I think he is looking for a reason to keep living. Or maybe a place to die. Yuna thought about the quiet man sitting in the next room. The man who barely spoke, who showed no emotion, who seemed to be waiting for something without knowing what. Why are you telling me all this? Yuna asked. Because you need to understand something important, Yuan said. Li Doyon is not your servant. He is not a tool you can use and throw away. He is a wounded warrior who has given everything for the people he protects. If you treat him with respect, he will die for you without hesitation. If you treat him like nothing, you will lose the best protection you could ever have. The communication ended. Yuna sat in the dark room, thinking about everything she had learned. The next morning, she found Doyon in the common room, eating breakfast. She sat across from him, just like before. But this time, she did not speak to him like a servant. I talked to someone about you, she said. Commander Juan. Doyen stopped eating. His eyes met hers. She told me who you are, what you have done, what you have lost. Doyon said nothing. He waited. I owe you an apology, Yuna said. I treated you poorly. I assumed things about you that were wrong. I am sorry. For a long moment, Doyen just looked at her. Then he nodded slowly. Thank you, he said. It was the most emotion she had seen from him. Can I ask you something? Yes. Why did you accept this job? The money is nothing. The danger is high. You could have said no. Doyon was quiet. When he spoke, his voice was softer than before. When I saw you in that cantina, you looked afraid, desperate, alone. You reminded me of the people I used to protect, the people I could not save. He looked down at his hands. I failed my team. I failed my friends. I carry that weight every day. But when I saw you, I thought maybe I could do something right. Maybe I could protect someone who needed help. Maybe I could make their sacrifice mean something. Yuna felt tears forming in her eyes. She had seen this man as nothing, as a cheap tool to be used and discarded. But he had seen her as someone worth saving, someone worth dying for. I will not fail you, Doyen said. Whatever comes next, I will keep you safe. That is my promise. Yuna reached across the table and touched his hand. It was rough and scarred, the hand of a warrior who had fought 1,000 battles. and I promise to be worthy of your protection, she said. We will face whatever comes together. Doyon looked at her hand on his. For just a moment, something warm flickered in his dark eyes. Something human. Then the ship's alarm began to scream. They were no longer alone in space. The alarm was deafening. Red lights flashed through every corridor of the small cargo ship. Yuna's heart pounded as she followed Doyon to the control room. What is it? She asked. More bounty hunters? Doyon studied the screens. His face showed no fear, only calculation. No, it is a Velen cruiser. Military class. Yuna felt relief flood through her body. A Velen ship. That is my people. They must have come to rescue me. She rushed to the communication system and opened a channel. This is Princess Yuna of the Third House. I am requesting immediate assistance. Please respond, screen flickered. A face appeared. It was a Velen officer, tall and elegant like all her people, with silver eyes and pale blue skin. He wore the uniform of the Imperial Navy. Princess Yuna, the officer said. We have been searching for you. Please prepare for docking. We will escort you home. Thank you, Yuna said. Tears of relief filled her eyes. Thank you so much. My father must be worried. There was a pause. The officer's expression changed slightly. Something cold entered his eyes. Your father is no longer worried, Princess. He is no longer anything. Yuna froze. What do you mean? Emperor Taiyul is dead. He died 3 days ago. Your brother, Prince Xiangwu, has taken the throne. He is now the Emperor of the Velen. The world seemed to stop. Yuna could not breathe. Her father was dead. Her brother had taken power. Everything she knew was crumbling around her. That is impossible, she whispered. My father was healthy. He was strong. The official report says he died of natural causes. But we both know the truth, Princess. Your brother is not a patient man. Xiangwu killed him? The officer smiled. It was not a friendly smile. I am not here to discuss politics. I am here to bring you to the new emperor. He has many questions for you, particularly about the peace treaty you were negotiating without his permission. Yuna understood now. Xiangwu had always opposed the peace treaty. He wanted war, not diplomacy. He wanted to expand the empire through conquest. The treaty would have weakened his power and his plans. So he had killed their father. He had sent assassins after her. And now he was sending soldiers to finish the job? I will not come with you, Yuna said. That was not a request, Princess. Doyon stepped forward. He had been silent this entire time, watching and listening. Now he spoke. Turn your ship around. Leave this space. Do not contact us again, the officer laughed. And who are you? Her pet human? Do you think you can threaten an Imperial cruiser? I am not threatening. I am warning. The officer's face twisted with anger. Enough of this. Prepare for boarding. If the human resists, kill him. The princess must be taken alive. The screen went dark. Yuna turned to Doyun. We cannot fight an Imperial cruiser. They have hundreds of soldiers. This is not like the bounty hunters. This is an army. How many soldiers will they send to board us? I do not know. 40. 50. They will not take chances. Doya nodded. He walked to his bag and began pulling out weapons. A rifle, 2 pistols, several knives, grenades, things Yuna did not recognize. What are you doing? She asked, preparing. You cannot fight 40 soldiers. I have fought worse. This is suicide. Doyon stopped. He turned to look at her. His eyes were calm, almost peaceful. Princess, I made you a promise. I said I would keep you safe. I meant it, but you will die. Maybe, maybe not, but you will live. That is what matters. Yuna grabbed his arm. No, I will not let you sacrifice yourself for me. There must be another way. There is no other way. If they take you, your brother will have you executed. He cannot allow a rival to live. This is your only chance. Then let me fight with you. Doyon shook his head. You would die in seconds. The Velen are not warriors. You are diplomats and scientists. That is not an insult. It is a fact. Then what do I do? Hide. Wait. If I win, I will come for you. If I lose... He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Yuna felt tears running down her face. 3 days ago, she had seen this man as nothing. Now he was preparing to die for her, and she could do nothing to help him. Why? She asked. Why are you doing this? I was cruel to you. I treated you like a servant. Doyen was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke softly. When I lost my team, I lost my purpose. I have spent 2 years wandering, looking for something worth fighting for. Worth dying for? I thought I would never find it again. Looked at her with those dark, steady eyes. Then I met you. A princess who was afraid and alone, who needed help, who reminded me why I became a soldier in the first place. Not for glory or medals. For people? For the chance to protect someone who could not protect themselves, he picked up his rifle and checked the ammunition. If I die today, I die with purpose. That is more than I have had in a long time. The ship shook. The Velen cruiser was docking. Soldiers would be boarding in minutes. Yuna did something she had never done before. She stepped forward and embraced Doyan. She held him tight, feeling the strength in his compact body, the steady beat of his heart. Come back to me, she whispered. Please, come back. Doyon did not return the embrace, but he placed one hand gently on her head. Hide in the storage compartment at the back of the ship. Do not come out until I call for you, no matter what you hear. He stepped away and walked toward the main corridor. He did not look back. Yuna ran to the storage compartment. She climbed inside and closed the door. It was dark and cramped. She could hear nothing but her own breathing and her pounding heart. Then she heard the boarding ramp open. Heavy footsteps filled the ship. Velen soldiers, armed with plasma rifles and vibroblades. 40 elite warriors trained to kill. And then she heard something else. The first scream came quickly. Then another. Then the sounds of fighting, crashing, breaking. Plasma fire. Metal hitting metal. Bodies falling. The sounds continued for what felt like hours. In reality, it was minutes. But each second stretched into eternity. Yuna pressed her hands over her ears, but she could not block out the noise. The screams of dying soldiers, the roar of battle. And through it all, a single human, fighting against impossible odds. Then, slowly, the sounds began to fade. The screaming stopped. The plasma fire ended. The footsteps went silent. Yuna waited in the darkness, barely breathing. Her entire body was shaking. She did not know what was happening. She did not know if Doyan was alive or dead. Then she heard something. A single set of footsteps, slow and uneven, walking toward her hiding place. A knock on the door. Princess. It was Doyan's voice. Tired and rough, but alive, Yuna threw open the door and climbed out. Doyan stood in front of her. He was covered in blood. His clothes were torn. There were cuts and burns on his arms and face. He was leaning against the wall, barely standing, but he was smiling. 42 soldiers, he said. Not 40. Yuna looked past him. The corridor was filled with bodies. Velen soldiers, scattered everywhere, their weapons useless, their armor broken. The walls were scorched with plasma burns. The floor was slick with blood. One human had done this. One tired, wounded, ordinary-looking human. You survived, Yuna whispered. I made a promise, Doyan said. And then he collapsed into her arms. Yuna held Doyan in her arms. His body was heavy with exhaustion and wounds. Blood soaked through her clothes, but she did not care. She dragged him to the medical bay, her muscles screaming with effort. The Velen were not a strong species. Moving a human body, even a small one, was difficult for her. But she refused to let go. She had watched this man fight an army for her. She would not abandon him now. In the medical bay, she activated the automatic healing systems. Machines scanned Doyen's body and began treating his wounds. Burns, cuts, broken ribs, internal bleeding. The list was long and frightening. Any other species would have died from these injuries. But Doyen's heart kept beating. His lungs kept breathing. His body refused to give up. "You stubborn human," Yuna whispered. "You impossible, stubborn human." She sat beside him and held his hand while the machines worked. Hours passed. The ship drifted in space, surrounded by the wreckage of battle. Finally, Doyen's eyes opened. He looked confused for a moment, then focused on Yuna's face. "The soldiers," he asked, "dead? All of them? You killed 42 elite warriors by yourself?" Doyen nodded slowly. "Good. Good. That is all you have to say?" "What else should I say?" Yuna laughed. It was a strange laugh, half relief and half disbelief. "You are the most remarkable person I have ever met. And also the most frustrating." Doyen almost smiled. "Thank you." I think, over the next few days, Doyen recovered slowly. His wounds healed faster than Yuna expected. Humans, she learned, had an incredible ability to repair themselves. Their bodies could rebuild damaged tissue, seal wounds, and fight infection with amazing speed. While Doyen rested, Yuna worked. She used the cruiser's communication systems to contact loyalists in the Velen Empire. Her brother Xiangwu had taken the throne, but not everyone supported him. Many nobles remembered her father's wisdom and kindness. Many soldiers questioned the suspicious death of their emperor. Yuna gathered evidence. She found records of Xiangwu's secret communications with the assassins who had attacked her. She discovered proof that he had poisoned their father. She built a case that could not be ignored. Then she sent a message to every ship, every planet, every station in the Velen Empire. She told them the truth about her brother. She told them about the murder of their emperor. She called for justice, and she told them about the human who had saved her life. The response was immediate. Loyalist forces rallied to her cause. Nobles declared their support. Soldiers defected from Xiangwu's command. Within a week, a civil war had begun. It was a short war. Xiangwu had power, but he did not have loyalty. His supporters abandoned him one by one. His army collapsed. His allies fled. In the end, he was captured in his own throne room, surrounded by guards who had turned against him. Yuna stood before him for the first time since she had fled the station. Her brother looked smaller than she remembered. His arrogance was gone, replaced by fear. "You cannot do this," he said. "I am the emperor." "You are a murderer," Yuna replied. "You killed our father. You tried to kill me. You betrayed everything our family stood for. I did what was necessary for the empire. You did what was necessary for yourself. And now you will face justice." Xiangwu was taken away. He would spend the rest of his life in prison, forgotten and alone. Death would have been kinder, but Yuna did not believe in cruelty, even for someone who deserved it. The coronation took place 1 month later. Yuna stood in the great hall of the imperial palace, surrounded by thousands of guests. Nobles, diplomats, military officers, and representatives from dozens of species had come to witness the ceremony. She wore white and gold, the colors of the Velen royal family. A crown was placed on her head. Words were spoken, oaths were made, and then it was done. She was Empress Yuna, ruler of one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. But even as she received congratulations and blessings from the crowd, her eyes searched for one face. She found him standing at the back of the room, wearing simple clothes, watching quietly. Li Doyen, the human who had changed everything later that evening. After the ceremony was over and the guests had left, Yuna found Dojan in a quiet garden. He stood alone, looking up at the stars. "You did not stay for the celebration," she said. "I am not good at celebrations. You saved my life. You deserve to be honored." Dojan shook his head. "I did my job. Nothing more." Yuna stood beside him. The garden was peaceful, filled with soft light and the scent of alien flowers. It was so different from the bloody corridors of that cargo ship. So different from the violence and fear of the past weeks. I want to give you a reward, she said. Anything you desire. Wealth, land, titles, citizenship in the empire. Name it, and it is yours. Doyan was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Quiet place. Somewhere peaceful. Somewhere I can rest. That is all. No gold. No power. No fame. I have had enough of fighting. Enough of blood. I just want peace. Yuna felt her heart ache. This man had given everything for his duty. He had lost his friends, his purpose, his hope. He had wandered the galaxy looking for meaning. And all he wanted was a place to be still. I have an estate on a garden world, she said. Mountains and forests and lakes. No wars, no violence. It is yours if you want it. Doyan nodded slowly. Thank you. Yuna took a deep breath. There was something else she needed to say. Something harder. Will you let me visit? Doyan looked at her. His dark eyes, usually so empty, showed a flicker of something warm. Why would an empress visit a retired soldier? Because I care about you. Not as a guard. Not as a tool. As a person, the words hung in the air between them. Yuna felt exposed, vulnerable. She had never spoken like this to anyone. Doyan was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. When I saw you in that cantina, I thought I was saving you. But I think you saved me instead. You gave me a reason to fight again. A reason to live again. He turned to face her fully. Yes, you may visit. I would like that, Yuna smiled. It was a real smile, filled with warmth and hope. Months passed. Yuna ruled her empire with wisdom and compassion. She negotiated the peace treaty her father had dreamed of. She reformed laws and helped her people prosper. She became known as the Empress, who brought light after darkness, and whenever she could escape her duties, she traveled to a small estate on a quiet garden world. She walked through forests with Doyan. She sat by lakes and watched the sun set over mountains. She talked and laughed and lived. Doyan changed too. The emptiness in his eyes slowly faded. He smiled more often. He slept without nightmares. He found peace in the simple things, growing vegetables, reading books, watching clouds. One evening, they sat together on a hill overlooking a valley of flowers. The sky was painted with purple and gold as the sun descended. Stay with me, Yuna said. Not as a guard. Not as a servant. Stay as something else. Oh, Doyan looked at her. The woman who had been a spoiled princess when they met. The woman who had grown into a wise and kind ruler. The woman who had seen past his silence to the broken man beneath and had chosen to care anyway. What would I be? He asked. Whatever you want to be. A friend, a companion, or perhaps in time, something more. Doyan looked at the sky, at the stars beginning to appear. For the first time in years, he did not see ghosts when he looked at them. He did not see the faces of his dead friends. He did not see blood and fire and failure. He saw a possibility. He saw a future. Yes, he said. I will stay. Yuna took his hand. It was rough and scarred, the hand of a warrior who had seen too much pain. But it was warm, and it held hers gently. They sat together as night fell, watching the stars come out one by one. A princess who had learned courage. A soldier who had found peace. Two people from different worlds, brought together by chance and bound by something stronger. On that quiet hill, surrounded by flowers and starlight, they began a new story. Not a story of war or violence or fear, but a story of healing, of hope, of love,